So, welcome to today's workshop. Today's workshop is going to focus on Facebook, all the best practices you should be aware of, some content best practices, as well as some examples of businesses that have Facebook pages that are doing a good job. Because I always think it's helpful to look, if you can't really think of what you should be doing, there are more than enough examples out there that you can, take some inspiration from. Again, this series is brought to you by the American Library Association, Harrison Public Library, and of course, sponsored by Grow with Google. Thank you everybody for joining us again today. If you were here last week, hopefully this will be building on what you learned. So like I said, today we will be covering Facebook best practices, as well as also touching on how you can use Facebook promotions to get in front of your ideal target audience. You will be receiving a copy of today's presentation, and should you have any questions, you'll have my contact information, so please do not hesitate to shoot me an email. And you can also feel free to stay connected with me on social media, and those are my handles and my email address and everything that you will have once you have the copy of the presentation. So agenda-wise, these are the points that we will cover today, starting off with the benefits of using Facebook for Business, taking a look at the various Facebook channels available for promoting your business. We'll go over some general Facebook content best practices, look at some types of Facebook posts. We'll talk a little bit about content creation strategy, and then we'll touch very lightly on Facebook ads. A Facebook ad workshop can be an all-day workshop, so I just want you to be aware of the opportunities that exist, but unfortunately we can't really spend as much time. Maybe that can be a workshop in the future. Then we'll take a look at the value of Facebook Insights. So, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. So once you're up and running and maybe you're trying some ads, we'll take a look at how do you know that if all of this stuff is working. And then we will wrap up with some Q&A. But I usually like to stop somewhere in the middle because I know, sometimes it's hard to wait until the end for questions. So like I just said, I'll stop somewhere in the middle to see if anybody has questions. And then at the end, we can have a discussion, more in-depth discussion. If you attended last week's workshop, you will remember this slide, and so I just wanted to add it back as a refresher. These are the Facebook marketing stats. So 2.4 billion active users, 74% of Facebook users log in daily, and some of us are included there. 300 million people use Facebook stories daily. 1.4 billion people are part of Facebook groups. 60% of Americans watch digital video on Facebook. And since we're going to talk very briefly about ads, an average Facebook user clicks 11 ads per month. So just to kind of like lay the foundation as to why Facebook may be a good idea, especially if you have a B2C business. B2B businesses can use Facebook as well, but I have found that B2C businesses tend to do a lot better than B2B businesses, or it's a lot easier to market yourself on Facebook if you have a B2C business. And if you guys are wondering why I'm looking up, I have two screens, so I'm just checking. I know it can look weird, like what is she looking at? I'm just checking the screen to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay, so let's keep going. So Facebook is a great marketing tool for all business sizes. So you don't have to be a large business to market on Facebook. And it comes with a wide range of benefits. And it is highly cost effective. But more than just the cost, it enables businesses to reach their target audience using very sophisticated ad targeting options. It helps you to increase brand awareness and recognition, build customer loyalty, and generate quality leads, and over time drive sales. And you guys will hear me saying over time a lot. And the reason why I say over time is because I don't want you to get the false impression that, the minute you set up a Facebook page or the first time you run ads, that you're automatically going to start seeing revenue right away. You have to be patient. It does take time, but the value is that once you understand how the tool works, if you do things correctly, you actually do see conversion. So let's talk about the first point, which is Facebook being affordable. And before Facebook advertising was possible, you know, a lot of us got spoiled with just building our pages based on our organic content. So there was a time when there were no Facebook ads. And so if you just had a page with great content and pictures and video and you used the right keywords, it was, I wouldn't say easy, it was never easy, but you could build a pretty large following just based on the quality of your content. However, once Facebook rolled out their advertising platform, that is no longer the case. So you have to do a balance of organic posting, which is posting just great content and using keywords and videos and all of that great stuff. But in order for you to really enjoy the benefit of reaching your ideal target audience, you have to also do advertising. It's no longer a choice. So Facebook is a cost-effective marketing channel, combination of organic, like I said, as well as paid ads. The average cost per click is about $1.86, and you can start building your page with an ad spend of as little as $1 a day. However, that is true. However, you're really not going to get a lot for $1 a day. So I usually recommend that when you're starting and testing, that you start with a budget of at least $5 a day to see how things go. However, budgeting is totally up to you. You set your minimum ad spend and you can turn off and turn on your ads, you know, as much as you'd like. So you control the cost, okay? In terms of building brand awareness, Facebook serves as a good platform for generating brand awareness because it gives businesses a way to connect with active and engaged users. And again, in terms of getting in front of your ideal target audience, this is where the ads really help because you can say, my ideal target customer lives in XYZ zip code. They, you know, they have these sort of behaviors. This is the age group. And so your content will be pushed only to those people. And usually if they're being pushed to a certain set of people, they're usually active users. So Facebook doesn't show ads to inactive users because it doesn't make sense. Also, one of the main goals of all social media, not just for Facebook should be driving traffic to your website. And so some of the campaigns that you should run, if you're running campaigns on Facebook, should be a campaign with direct links back to your website. And again, you would target them specifically based on your ideal target customer and send the traffic off Facebook to your website. In terms of generating leads, many businesses use Facebook to generate leads or build a contact list of people who are interested in what they offer. So another goal for yourself for using social media should be to build your mailing list. And if you attended last week, you will remember that graph that I showed you that shows that even to this day, email marketing has the highest rate of return on investment for all digital marketing tactics. And so by all means, if you have the ability to drive qualified, new qualified leads to your email list through Facebook, you should definitely have that as one of your goals for your Facebook advertising. We'll talk more about this later in the presentation, but Facebook for Business provides amazing, I really love their analytics and data. And businesses can view the information ranging from everything from the demographics of your followers, the actions these people take on your page, what days of the week your fans are more active. And so by understanding how your audience interacts with your page, this allows you to make more strategic marketing campaigns. And if you attended last week's session, we spoke a lot about this in regards to the Google My Business page and how important it is to take a look at the analytics and understand what's going on. So let's dive into the various Facebook marketing channels that exist. So it's not just about setting up a Facebook profile. You should be aware of the various ways that you can market your business. And so I will go through the examples first, and then we'll actually go and take a look at these pages live because there are a few key things that I want to point out on every channel that you should be aware of so you can make the decision as to which ones or if you will use all of them to promote your business. So let's start with the Facebook business page. Hopefully all of you know this, but you have to set up a Facebook business page to promote your business on Facebook. You should not be promoting your business on a Facebook personal profile. It is against Facebook's rules, and you could be shut down for that. So you need to create a personal profile to manage the business page. A lot of people get confused with that. So all business pages need to be owned by a personal profile. And there's an issue of responsibility there because Facebook needs to know who owns the particular business in case things are posted that should not be posted. So they come after the individual, not the business page. There was a time when Facebook was allowing you to just set up a business page without having it being owned by a personal profile, and that didn't last very long for the reasons that I just explained. So let's go over some things about the Facebook business page. So Facebook business pages are useful tools for businesses as they provide a platform for reaching Facebook's over 2 billion users. They're the business version of a personal page. And the difference is that they're specific sections that speak to a business that are available on a business page that are not available on a personal profile, in addition to the ability to run ads and see the demographics of your followings. You cannot see all of that in a personal page. You have friends on a personal page, followers or fans, they keep changing the name, on a business page. And so the sections, of course, would be location, hours, services, reviews of your customers. There are custom tabs these days, such as Book Now. There's also a Facebook Shop. And in order to make use of the ads, again, you need a business page, and business pages also show up on search engines like Google. And the purpose of these pages are to build brand awareness and connect with your ideal target audience. It gives customers a good way to stay up to date with your business, and it also gives you a way to get insights into exactly how your target audience is interacting with you, okay? So that is the Facebook business page that we just spoke about. Now let's talk about the Facebook group. So Facebook groups are communities for users to connect over a shared interest or cause. And businesses use them to market by either becoming actively involved in an existing group or creating and managing their own group. So for example, maybe you might be saying to yourself, okay, I really don't have the time or resources to set up a business page and a Facebook group. So what you can do is you can join a group of, say, restaurant owners in Queens, or beauty salon owners in Harlem, or people who like to travel to whatever. And the thing about groups is that it's more of a personal connection, and so there are a lot of active person-to-person conversations going on within groups, more so than that are going on with a business page. So many businesses use the Facebook groups to deepen the connection with people like them or their existing customers. So, and this is actually a great way that you can still get organic exposure and build brand awareness, okay? So groups help businesses build community. They're not a form of direct advertising, and they usually discourage you from using it too much as a promotional platform. So that is where the difference is. On the page, it's more of about promotions and things like that. The groups are more about discussion. So instead, if you're gonna create your own group or join another group that makes sense for your business, the focus of the group is usually on the group members and building community around the common interest, goal, or cause. So businesses whose target audience has a shared interest can use Facebook groups to connect with that audience and stay top of mind and deepen the relationship with that audience, because it's more of a personal conversation that's going on. Next, we have the Facebook Marketplace. And Facebook's Marketplace is, think of old school classified ads, or what happens on Craigslist when people are like listing things that they want to sell. Maybe even eBay is a good reference. So most people who use the marketplace are individuals trying to get rid of, things they don't want anymore or trying to raise some extra cash. But businesses can also list products on the marketplace. And I actually have an accessories client who does this all the time. Whenever she has excess inventory or things that she wants to get rid of that are not selling on her main site, she lists them on marketplace, and she usually does a good job of getting rid of them that way. So this should not serve, however, as your business's primary sales channel, but it gives you a way to gain additional exposure as well as to get rid of excess or old merchandise that you may not, want to throw out or give away, but you want to earn some revenue, and this is a good way to do that. So businesses that sell products online can choose to use Facebook Marketplace. And again, it's a sort of thing where if it's working together with everything else that you're doing, it's a good way of gaining exposure, because on the marketplace, you can also drive traffic back to your main sales channels. Okay, and then there's Facebook Shop. And I don't know how many of you actually have online stores, but this is definitely an avenue that you should explore. And so Facebook Shops make selling online easy, and you can create customizable collections that showcase your featured products. And a single shop experience works on both Facebook and Instagram. And there are many design features that help to bring your brand to life. Now, in order to use a Facebook shop, you already have to have an existing online shop. So say, for example, your website is built on Shopify or one of those other e-commerce platforms. That is actually the shop that's connected to Facebook. And you're able to then have direct sales going straight back to your e-commerce platform. So in order to use this, you actually need to have some sort of e-commerce shop already existing. Okay, so I know that was a mouthful. I think this is a good time to see if anybody has any initial questions right here before I do the demo of the channels that we just discussed. So if anybody has questions, you can unmute yourself and ask them. Okay, seems like we're all good. All right, so now we're actually going to go live to Facebook and take a look at the channels that I just described for you. So if you just give me a second, and hopefully they're still open in the tab. All right, yes they are. Oh boy, people are trying to talk to me. Okay, so this was the first business page that I showed you guys, African Prints in Fashion. And so this is what a Facebook business page looks like. So I wanted to point out a few key things about the business page. Starting with the top, there's a Shop Now tab. And in their case, they're sending their Shop Now tab straight to their e-commerce website. And that's something that you can do. You can also run a promotion for your Shop Now tab that helps to drive traffic off of Facebook and straight to your website. All right, so we're going to close this and go back. These are the posts that are on the page. Every so often, this page has events. And so nothing going on right now for obvious reasons, but you're allowed to showcase any events that you're having, and you can actually promote an event that you're having through an ad in order to get attendance. And it's a little sad because, as you see, in years gone by, they would be having, and they have amazing products, they would be having lots of events, and this is the way that they drive some revenue for themselves, and they're unable to do so this year. Pretty much everything that we're all experiencing. This is where you access their photos. And as you can see, and I highly recommend this, it makes it much easier if you organize your photos into albums. Because in terms of engagement, people tend to stay around and watch and look at albums more than just single pictures. So for example, they're 14, and you don't have to have many pictures in the albums. It's just a way of categorizing what the pictures are about, as opposed to just dumping a bunch of pictures on Facebook. And people tend to engage more when they click on albums, because even if it's just like 5 or 10 pictures, you have to like click and look at the picture, you read the description, you should be linking your pictures back to someplace. And so, you know, if I could easily spend hours just clicking through the pictures of the site, and in terms of knowing what I'm looking at, because it's categorized, I can see exactly what's going on. All right, let's look at their community tab and see what they have. Top fans. So you're able to see after about 30 days, Facebook will tell you exactly what's going on in terms of your interactions. And so right here, you can see that these are the people that interact with the page a lot because they're their top fans. And over time, if you like, you can actually offer special promotions or insights or discounts to these people because they're your top supporters. Here you can see exactly how many people are following the page. So 236,000. I love this page. I'm one of the followers for sure. Because I'm a fan of the page, I can see that, you know, a lot of my friends are following the page as well. You can see here any mentions that the page has in terms of other pages collaborating with them. And I don't have, because I'm a fan, I am just seeing the public version of the page. I don't have access to all of the insights, but as the business owner, you definitely will be able to see a lot of demographic and statistical data because you own the page yourself. Here is where they have their videos. And then this, of course, is their about section where they tell the story. This is a relatively new feature, the story feature on Facebook. It is not more than about 2 years old. And so this is your opportunity for you to actually explain the genesis of your business, you know, why you started your business, how, you know, what the goal is for your business. And of course, you notice here they're doing a good job of sending traffic to key links that are important or that they want people to know about. Okay, so I just wanted to point out some key sections of a business page so that you can see all of the possibilities there. All right, so we're going to close that link, and now we're going to move on to the example of the Facebook group that I showed you guys. And so again, groups are more personal, allow you to have more personal interactions. Many times, if the group is your group, you can actually create a sort of a gateway to make sure that anybody who is joining the group is actually qualified to be a part of the group, because the last thing that you want to do is have people join a group that doesn't have the same interest or common goal as yourself or the rest of the people in the group. So for example, when I joined this group, and you guys can test this, I had to answer about 4 questions as to why I wanted to join the group. And then based on the answers to those questions, as the group admin, you can decide whether you want to add this person is a good person, this person will actually contribute in a positive way to this group and group discussions, or if it seems like they're not too serious, then you can decline. So that is actually one benefit to having a group as opposed to a page, because usually anyone can follow a business page. So if you really want to have meaningful discussions, you should definitely gate entrance to your group. All right, and so a few things about the group that I wanted to point out. You will see here the messenger rooms, and so what you can actually do is have a group discussion, very similar to Zoom, what we're on right now, with your group members. And this is also a way of getting to know them better and having face-to-face, especially in these times, face-to-face interactions with your members. You're allowed to make announcements and highlight them, and so many times, so if you notice here, these are just polls and discussions that people in the group are having, but as the group admin, and usually only group admins are allowed to do this, if you wanted to make a special announcement, you can make the post and then you mark it as an announcement, and announcements are always shown at the top of the group page. So they have over 100 announcements, if you can imagine. But the most important one as of right now is always highlighted. So this is a virtual event that's happening today at 2 p.m. So that makes sense that they would want to highlight that at the top of the group. Here is where you would be able to see a list of all the members of the group. So as you see, I have a member. And so, for example, say that someone is having a really inspiring discussion and I'm like, wow, I would love to learn more about this person. I can then find them in the group and add them as a friend. And the chances of that person accepting my friend request is higher because she will see that, you know, we're both members of this group, or maybe she may remember that I made a comment on something that she said. Groups can have events very similar to pages as well. They don't have any, I guess they haven't had any past events, or they're not using the group for an event, and you don't have to. Videos, of course. If you do have videos, and National Geographic, of course, they have lots of videos. This is where you would house the videos for your group. And so, you know, it's a lot of opportunity for you to have a more personal discussion with, you know, members or followers or people who have common interests, as opposed to the business page. All right, so we're going to close that. My goodness, sorry, this is the danger of logging into your personal Facebook. Okay, and so this was the marketplace that we spoke about. And as you see, if I don't know if any of you have ever used the marketplace, but it's, you know, mostly individuals selling items that they no longer want, or, you know, whatever it is. And people do pretty good on marketplace. And usually you can search for items based on category, which is why I said that it's, think of old classified ad, think of your old school classified ads. So for example, if I said I wanted to look for jewelry and accessories, and I would just toggle here, and then sometimes people also give things away for free. So say for example, you're moving and you just want to get rid of stuff, you can do it here. Let me see if the client I mentioned has anything right now listed. I don't know if she lists it as the business or she just lists it as an individual. No, she doesn't have anything up right now. But you guys get the idea. You can, you know, use this as a way to offload old merchandise or things that you just don't want anymore. All right, so that's the Facebook Marketplace. And then we spoke about the Facebook shop, right? And so this is the actual shop page. And to get to this page, and you guys can write this down, but when you get the presentation, it will be hyperlinked. You go to facebook.com/business/shops, and it actually walks you through exactly everything that you need to do to sell on Facebook. I would highly recommend that if you guys see at the bottom here, there are these little mini courses that you can take. I would highly recommend, if you don't have a page or you have a page that isn't working too well, that you take some of these mini courses that Facebook offers. They're very helpful. They're bite-sized piece courses, very similar to what I spoke about in terms of Google resources last week. And it just helps you to not make the mistakes that you would make if you didn't have any insights as to how this should all work. And so this is the Facebook Business Shops page. And so if you go on this page, it pretty much walks you through how to set up the Facebook shop and connect it to your e-commerce site so that you're able to sell direct on Facebook. So that was the shop. Okay, so for now, we're going to close the demo screen and go back to the presentation. Does anybody have any questions on what I just went over?
Pitya, I have a question to clarify. Sure. That group, Facebook group, So
Mm-hmm.
we have Chamber of Commerce in our
Right.
town.
Right.
Uh, will it consider is like face group for small businesses, or bakers need to be with bakers, and like nail salons have to join nail salons? I'm asking because small businesses have limited staffing and of course limited time, and they wear so many hats. Like the more groups you join, the more time you need to spend.
I would recommend that you be as targeted as possible, because if this is where you're going to be having meaningful conversations, then if you're a nail salon, you should join the nail salon group. If you're a baker, then you should join the bakers group as opposed to just a general group. Because what happens, like I'm a member of some general groups and people just talk about all sorts of things, right? And so to find the conversation that I'm looking for, I have to be scrolling through these discussions that have nothing to do with me. However, I'm also a part of a digital marketing groups or PR groups, and those groups are amazing because everybody's on the same page, everybody is interested in sharing the same information, people are sharing leads and doing all of these cool things. And so even if I just have half an hour a week to spend on my Facebook group activity, it's worth it because it's a more targeted conversation.
Okay, thank you. And the second question, like if the business has a website
Mm-hmm.
where the business sells product and the marketplace and selling through Facebook, do they kind of link together, or
The mar- yes. So the Facebook shops links to your e-commerce website.
okay.
The marketplace, I believe, is just Facebook Marketplace and it's separate, but let me double check that. But definitely the Facebook shop. So for example, a lot of small businesses use Shopify to sell their products because it's easy and it integrates very, very seamlessly with Facebook and Instagram. So really what you're doing is you're connecting your Shopify website and your Shopify online store to Facebook. That's what that is. Make sense?
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
okay. All right. So let's pick up where we left off. Okay. So now that you understand the different channels and how they can be used, the most important thing is developing content. And so, you know, the gut reaction or the first thing people tend to do when they set up social media channels for business is to start promoting and saying, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. And that no longer really works in today's market because customers want to be educated and entertained, and they want to build relationships with the businesses and brands that they support. So I love this quote by Seth Godin, and Seth Godin is a small business marketing expert, and I highly recommend that you guys subscribe to his microblog. The thing about Seth Godin that I love is that he's not one of these marketing people who give advice for corporations or large companies that a small business cannot actually implement. All of his advice, you know, and you, of course you can't do everything, but everything that he recommends that you do as a small business is actually attainable and achievable. So he has a great microblog. He has many business books, and he's definitely someone that I usually recommend that small business owners follow. And I love this quote that he has that says, marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories that you tell. So when you're developing your content for all social media, not just Facebook, make sure that you're doing it in a way that's engaging and entertaining and informational, and you're not just saying buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, because nobody will interact with you if you do that. And so this is a great slide that I've been showing for many years, and this was when I was doing presentations for Constant Contact, and I just think it's an amazing way, the way they broke down how you should be putting your content together as you plan to do your social media marketing. So this is your content marketing best practices for social media. So 50% of the content that you share should be designed to get engagement. And so it should either be entertaining, inviting questions, because when you have two-way conversations, that's engagement, asking questions, and of course, images and video. People respond a lot to images and video. 30% of it should be informational. So industry information, hints and tips. And this is where you can give yourself a break and curate content from credible sources. So it doesn't always have to be your original content, because that can be a lot for a small business to do. And then the remaining 20% are calls to action, or when you actually start promoting your business. And so this could be your shop now, buy now, attend my workshop, or whatever the call to action is for your business. If it's a nonprofit, you ask for donations. And so if you can stick to this general rule, it seems counterproductive, but it actually is the way that you begin to see that return in your investment over time. So 50% engagement, 30% informational, 20% promotional. That is the the content marketing best practice for social media. And a lot of people like to take a shot of this screen to kind of like remind themselves when they sit down to build their content calendar. So the key content assets, testimonials, even if you just have 3 clients. If you attended last week's session when I showed you my event planner client, you will see how many great reviews that she has. You know, a testimonial from a happy customer is worth so much more than you saying how great you are as a service provider or the person who made the product, because potential customers believe actual customers like themselves that are happy. So testimonials definitely should always be showcased. Pictures, we know the statement, picture is worth 1,000 words. And of course, video. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, I would say video is worth 10,000. Because when you use video, you're actually able to explain, to showcase the process, to show your personality. If you can get your customers to give you video testimonials, that's even more powerful than just the old school written quote, maybe with the person's picture smiling, because the whole emotion and the experience that they've had with you can be articulated better in video. Okay, so let's go through the different types of posts that are available on Facebook. And so we talked about the channels, we talked about content marketing best practices, but how do you actually distribute the content? And so here's a breakdown of the different types of posts that are available to you. So they're text posts. And these are the most basic posts. There are no pictures, there's no video, there's no link. Now, I will highly recommend that if you're going to just do a text post, should not do too many of them because they get the lowest amount of engagement. But if you do, make it something that's funny or ask a question so that people will be inspired to respond somehow. So for example, this example that I got here, it says, should say, why do we, typo on their part, why do we sell the largest sandwiches in town? And it's simple. We know that when you're really hungry, a regular sandwich just wouldn't do, right? So they're being a little quirky and funny, and people would probably like this or laugh or whatever. But I would recommend that when you're building your content calendar, that you don't do too many of these posts, because in terms of engagement, they get the lowest possible engagement compared to posts that have video and pictures and things that actually inspire people to respond. Picture posts, and again, I'm using African prints in fashion, and of course, for obvious reasons, they have beautiful, beautiful products. So for them, making a text post would actually not be successful at all. But even if they didn't say anything, just the vibrancy of these clothes alone would get a response. So a photo post is designed to build awareness or spark engagement, and in general, photo posts see much higher engagement than text posts. Photo posts are a great way to show off your products, especially if they have a high visual appeal right here. And so what you would do is, of course, not just post a bunch of pictures. You always need some sort of description, and of course, using hashtags to categorize what the post is about helps in terms of your organic exposure or being found on both Facebook and Instagram. Our next class, no, the class after the next class is going to be on Instagram. If you don't have really nice pictures of your own, which you should, that's definitely something that you should make an investment in. Please don't go Googling somebody else's pictures and adding them to your website or Facebook or any social media. There are a lot of people that get themselves into trouble by doing this. There are many royalty image sources that you can use. You create a free account, and there are hundreds, sometimes thousands of royalty pictures that you can use without worrying about getting sued or the person who, taking the picture sending you a cease and desist letter. And so these are a few of the ones that I've used. My favorite one is definitely Pixabay. So please, if you don't yet have nice pictures of your own, make sure that you sign up for one of these, and you would be free to use pictures from them to support your content. Next kind of post we're going to talk about are video posts, and I think we're all familiar with these. A short video post can be compelling if your product, of course, has visual appeal, and even if you're a B2B business, so you don't have a product but you have a service, you can use video to explain the benefits of that service or to interview a customer. The thing about video posts is that they shouldn't be no longer than 30 seconds long. And so you will see, this is from Sephora, I believe I snagged this from. You'll see that 18 seconds, 33 seconds. Nobody's going to sit down and watch a 5-minute video on Facebook. So you just have to make sure that it's brief, you get to the point, and whatever you're saying is engaging enough so that people actually watch and share it. Watch and share. Those are the key things with video. Then there are also live Facebook posts, and so I most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Facebook Live by now. So Facebook Live is video broadcast live on Facebook, and it can be a great way to give followers a behind the scenes look at your company or your product or the personalities behind your brand. So Facebook Live launched, I want to say, around 2016, so it's been about 4 years. And at this point, 2 billion people have watched Facebook Live since then. It's crazy. And of course, it's a fantastic way to make announcements, launch new products. And once you've done the live, it actually can be saved to the Facebook, to your Facebook page, so that it becomes a part of your archives, which is a great way for you to engage in real time. But for anyone who missed the actual live, they'll also be able to go back and see what was discussed. Then there are also Facebook polls. And so this can be used to get feedback on anything that you're considering doing. So, maybe it's a new product, maybe, you're deciding how I see people asking all the time saying, I'm rebranding my business and I have these 2 logos and I can't decide which logo I should choose. And so they'll do a Facebook poll and actually get feedback from their fans. So it's a way, again, of building engagement and also a deeper relationship with the people who support you. Then, of course, there's Facebook Stories. And Facebook Stories are a photo or short video that appear in vertical format and disappear within 24 hours. And you guys should be familiar with Facebook Stories. And they live at the top of the news feed. So more than 500 million people have viewed Facebook Stories to date. And actually, let me correct myself. More than 500 million people view Facebook Stories every day, not to date, every day. And if you're thinking about how to use Facebook for business in 2020, Stories is actually one of the main tools that are being used to engage with fans and connect with them. And this is because since they appear at the top of the news feed, chances are that your fans will see them before they even see posts that live on the page. The last, is this the last one? Maybe it is, or second to last one. I'm going to refer to is what's called a pinned post. So this applies to the Facebook page and your Facebook group. And so what it is, it's a post that you make that you want to have prominence on the page. So what you do is, if you guys see this little pin bar, you would actually Once you make the post, you will pin, I'm saying pin, you'll use the pin to attach the post at the top of the page, and it remains at the top of the page until you take it down. And so in terms of groups, you guys will remember we went over the announcements posts that live at the top. A pinned post would actually be above the announcement post. So this is definitely a piece of content that you want everybody who visits your page or your group to see. And so this is a client of mine, and we have this post pinned because she recently got elected to be president of her real estate, International Real Estate Association. So this is definitely something that we want people to see the minute they visit the page. So that's why it's pinned to the top. Okay. So I thought I saw some of the chat going off, so I'm assuming that people have questions. So if you have questions, I'll take a little mini break here and answer them based on anything that I just went through, and then we'll move on to content marketing strategies. Content creation strategies, sorry. Anybody have any questions? Guess not, all right. Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully it's because everything is clear. Okay, so let's review some content creation strategies. So this is how, when we have a new client and we're trying to figure out how we're going to develop content for them and what the campaigns are going to be and what the calls to actions are going to be, this is actually a snapshot from an actual, what we call discovery grid, digital marketing discovery grid, for a makeup client that I had a few years ago. And so what we do is we do a really deep dive into the client's competitive landscape. And so again, this was a makeup client, and these were the competitors of that client. And so what we do is we follow all the social media presences of the competitor, and we make a note of their fan base, how frequently they're posting, the kind of content they're posting, the percentage of curation versus creation of the content. So when I say that, I mean how much of the content are they creating is their own content that somebody, you know, in-house created for them, and how much of their content is reshares, or, you know, they're like co-marketing with somebody, or it's clearly from a credible, of course, a third party. And then we look to see how actively engaged the fans are. We also take a look at what's going on with the website. Is there a newsletter sign up? Is there a blog? And are there any other specialized social networks that they're following? If you that they're a part of. If you guys attended last week, you remember that I did the grid where I showed that even though we focus on six social media platforms, there are actually hundreds of them that exist. And sometimes, depending on the category of a business, you may see that they have a presence on a particular platform. And if you notice that, you definitely want to take a deeper look and figure out why. It may be because for that specific business, that platform makes sense. And so we go through this process and we monitor the top 3 to 5 competitors, depending on how big the client is. And what we're looking for is to identify things that the competition is doing that's successful. So for makeup, if you're a woman who wears makeup, you know that tutorials are always successful. Giveaways, sweepstakes, celebrity shout outs, contests. These are the sort of things that generally in the beauty industry, not only makeup, but anything to do with personal care, that usually drive great engagement and are successful. So we definitely want to know the things that are already working. But what we're definitely looking for are what they aren't doing so well. Because if we can figure out at least 1 to 3 things that they're a little iffy on or they haven't thought about, then that is the opportunity for our client, and that's the opportunity for you as a small business owner to come up with a strategy to set yourself apart. So you never want to be a Me Too brand. Like, yes, you want to do things that are working, but you don't just want to blend in and just start copying your competition. You always want to find a way to stand out. And so that's one of the main reasons that you should be doing some competitor analysis before you actually devise your own strategy to see what's already out there. Now, once you've done that, now it's time to outline your campaign goals and objectives. And so you've built your content strategy, you know what you're going to do in terms of your organic content. But like I said, in order for you to really grow your Facebook presence these days and attract your ideal target audience and really enjoy the benefit of Facebook, you have to start running ad campaigns at some point. And so we're going to go over the main campaign goals and objectives that you should be thinking about as it relates to your Facebook ad campaign. So the first thing, of course, is lead generation. And we spoke a little bit about that earlier. And lead generation would be helping to build your email list so that you can continue to do countdown campaigns to your audience. Brand awareness, of course, especially if you're a new business, you would need people to know that you exist. Newsletter subscription. So the difference between just building your newsletter subscribers and lead generation would be that lead generation is a little bit more focused. So for example, say I sold makeup. Let's use the makeup example. I can run an ad on Facebook that just, sends people to sign up for my general newsletter, right? So just general promotions, things that aren't too specific. However, if I have, say, anti-aging products, then this is a more targeted audience, right? You wouldn't want to send anti-aging products to somebody who's 21 years old. They're not thinking about that yet. Would be the people like me in our 40s and upwards. We're trying to hold the clock back. So lead generation is more targeted. So here you would say I'm only targeting women in their early to mid 40s upwards who may be interested in this specific kind of product. So hopefully the difference between these two is clear. General subscribers that get general communications, lead generation, a more targeted subscriber base. Of course, buy now. Remember, it's not that you don't do this, you don't do it in excess. That would be a campaign objective. Registering for an event, and if you have a nonprofit, driving donors and volunteers could be a campaign goal for you as well. So if you have ever logged into the Facebook Ad Manager, this is what the Ad Manager landing page looks like. And here is where you build the ads. And of course, today we can't really get into the nitty-gritty of Facebook ads because they're a little complicated. And that is a full day workshop in itself, and it should be hands-on because unless you do it, you don't get it. But I just wanted to go over some general things in terms of the kinds of ads that are available for you. And so they're based on your marketing objective. This is where you would select the kind of ad that you want to run. So awareness, of course, would be brand awareness and reach. Consideration is really traffic. So sending people back to your website. Engagement would be growing your following, getting likes and shares. If you have an app installs, video views and conversions. This is very heavily focused on checking out. So this is straight to shopping cart, buy now, or if you have a brick and mortar store, you can actually run an ad to stimulate store visits. And so this is a more in-depth or maybe a simpler explanation as to what those three buckets mean. So awareness, the objectives would be that you generate interest in your product or service. Consideration objectives, get people to start thinking about your business and looking for more information about it. And conversions encourage people to purchase or use your product or service. So this is where most people tend to at least start with regards to Facebook ads. usually here. You set up a Facebook page and you have a fan base of you and maybe your family members, but the truth is that our family members, as much as they love us and maybe rooting for us, they usually don't end up being our customers. So maybe for parents' purposes, you got all your siblings and your cousins and your aunts to like the page so that you're just not hanging out there by yourself. But you know, you need to grow that page with targeted users. So this is where um, the page like engagement ad is usually where people start off, followed by the post engagement, which is actually giving exposure to a particular post on the page. Let's talk a little bit about the audiences or how you target your Facebook ads. So your core audience would be an audience that you build from scratch. So this is based on your customer avatar, and hopefully you guys all have customer avatars built out. So the customer avatar is a description of your ideal target customer, and it's very common to have actually several customer avatars. Like none of us just have one ideal target customer. So if you have, very normal to have anywhere from 1 to 3 customer avatars. So this is where you would manually build that audience on Facebook. It's called a core audience. And so you select your audience manually based on characteristics like age, location, interests, and you tell Facebook all of that, and then you build your audience based on that criteria, and you save it, and that audience is always there. Custom audiences are audiences that you already have based on email marketing activity or actual customers. And so you would upload your contact list into Facebook and say, okay, I need you to find my current customers and let them know that I now have a presence on Facebook. And actually, custom audiences usually get a higher level of response than core audiences because these people actually already know who you are. So they follow you, and they tend to, if they're happy with you, they tend to also share with their network that you're on social media. Lookalike audiences is where you actually start to enjoy the benefit of Facebook. And a lookalike audience uses your customer information to find people similar to them on Facebook. So these are people that don't know who you are, but who, based on demographic information or psychographic information, have the same characteristics as your current customers. And so this right here is where you actually start to enjoy the true benefit of using Facebook to target your customer base. Okay, so as you guys notice, I like to use live demonstrations and videos. I think it's better than me yapping at you for an hour and a half. So we're gonna go out to the Facebook business, I like to call it academy, that they have, and we're going to watch a little mini video about building a core audience, and then we're going to come back to the presentation. So just give me a chance. You had it open already. That's what this is. Okay. Let me share the computer audio to make sure you guys can hear. Share computer sound. Okay.
Hey there, Marika here. Before you create an audience on Facebook, you'll want to think about who your current customers are and use that information to create an audience for your Facebook ad. This will help you to reach the people likely to be interested in your business and to spend your advertising dollars efficiently by not advertising to people who probably aren't. Let's talk about how to do this. When you create your Facebook ad, you'll notice a section called Audience. That's where you can get specific about who you want to reach. In other words, the audience for your ad. Let's start with gender. If you want, you can choose to reach out to only men or only women. If you have a bridal dress shop, women might be a better audience for you. But if you have a shaving and beard grooming business, maybe you'll want to reach out to men. If you want to reach all genders, including people who haven't specified one, you can choose all. You can also reach out to people by age group from age 13 to 65 plus. Some restrictions might apply based on what your business offers. If you're a winemaker, for example, there might be a minimum age for people you reach out to. You can also reach people by global region, country, state, city, or postal code. You can get pretty detailed about who you want to reach by choosing people in particular demographics or with specific interests and behaviors. You can reach people who went to certain schools, for example, or who've had recent life events like an engagement. If your business makes wedding cakes, this would probably be a really relevant audience for you. And you can reach people with specific interests. If you own a kitchen supply store, people who like to cook might be a great audience for you. You can also reach out to people based on their purchases, device usage, and other behaviors. Your audience options don't stop there. You can connect with people who like your page and their friends. Once you've created your audience and feel like it's just right, you can save your choices so you can reach the same audience with future ads. Nice time saver, right? As you learn more about your customers, or if you want to reach different people, you can make changes or create new audiences. So get in there and explore all the great options. When you connect with the right audience, you have a better chance to get the ad results you want. In other words, a better chance of reaching your business goals. Want more tips for advertising on Facebook? Check out our other Blueprint content and keep learning.
Okay, so I want to bring you guys attention to this part of Facebook. Many people don't know that this exists. I call it the Facebook for Business Academy. That's just my wording, but it's actually called Facebook Blueprint. And if you notice here, I'll just scroll down a bit. None of the videos are more than like 2 minutes, 3 minutes sometimes. But I would highly recommend, if you've never done Facebook ads or used Facebook in general, that you actually enroll in this these Facebook courses, like I said, and you just go through the videos. Very simple to understand. And you get here by going to facebook.com/business/learn. And once you do that, then it'll outline the individual lessons that you can take. And you just follow along, you listen. I prefer the videos as opposed to the text. Some of it is text only. I think the videos do a better job of demonstrating and explaining things. So these resources are available to you for free, and you should absolutely use them to get a better understanding of what you should be doing so that you don't waste your time or make mistakes that won't help you in the long run. All right, let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So that was the core audience. That was the audience that you built from scratch. Now let's take a little in-depth look at the custom audience, right? So the custom audience, like I said, are people who are your actual customers or your website visitors. And so you can use sources like your customer list, engagement from Facebook, website, app traffic. And what you do is that you upload them into Facebook and say, I would like these people to know that I'm here. All right. If you don't have any existing lists at all, then you have no choice but to build your core audience from scratch. Okay, let's talk about a lookalike audience. And like I said, the lookalike audience is where you actually tell Facebook, these are my ideal customers, or these are the people that always engage with me on Facebook. Can you then match these people and go out and bring other people similar to them to me, because I know that they're a qualified audience. So let us look at a mini video that talks about that as well. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too quick, but it pretty much demonstrated how you would go about uploading the file and telling Facebook that you needed to find those people to follow the page. Okay, so I think this is another good time for me to do a mini break, because I know if anybody that's unfamiliar with ads, all of that may have been a little confusing. And let me toggle to where we were. For some reason, when I leave the presentation, it starts over again, but that's fine because you guys can get a refresher of everything that we have gone over today, which is actually a lot. It's always amazing how much we cover in a short period of time. Okay, so any questions on Facebook ads and the kinds of ads, the kinds of audiences that exist? Sometimes people get a little confused with the kinds of audiences and what the difference is. Now is your chance. We're almost at the end of the presentation.
Don't be shy. Ask
Don't be
questions.
shy. This is why I'm here. There's no silly question either. There really isn't.
I
So
think
if
people are overwhelmed. There is
yeah,
so much.
there is so much.
Yeah, it seems like you have to have another digital marketing business to the side of your regular business. It's like
Right.
so much.
Or hire someone who actually
Do,
knows what they're doing.
right, but do you know small businesses that are successful running it on their own without outsourcing? Like, is it practical? Can people do it?
Sooner or later, you have to outsource this. Even if outsourcing means hiring an intern
Mhm.
or an assistant or somebody, because this is actually become, never used to be, right? But it has actually become a full-time job.
Yeah, it
So,
seems like.
I think as the business owner, though, you should at least understand the basics of what should be happening. But it's not realistic for you to think that you're going to run your main business and also run your social media campaigns, especially if you're going to be on multiple platforms. So
Mhm.
I think that even if you have to start it yourself, sooner or later you have to outsource this to someone who owns this, and this is what they focus on.
Okay, and PT, another question. If small businesses decide to outsource, like where can they find experienced and reliable digital marketing businesses that are affordable? Like, is it any way for them to?
I would say if you're looking for affordable for a smaller business, then your best bet is somebody like a freelancer. So, like I have a small agency, so I wouldn't say that I'm affordable, but I have my own target audience. However, many of my consultants that work for me are freelancers, so they're individuals, right? And so they have their own small clients. They work with me on larger projects or whatever. And so somebody like that, their pricing would be, you know, affordable to everybody is different, right? But their prices would be a little lower than hiring a digital marketing agency, because digital marketing agencies usually have like retainer based models or whatever different ways of pricing that may be beyond a really small business, as opposed to a freelancer who you can say, well, can you just spend 10 hours a month doing XYZ for me and doing a great job of it. And then they usually bill you either hourly or they have small packages. And such people can be found on sometimes Craigslist, even though Craigslist has gotten a little shady over the years. There's Upwork. There's Fiverr. I noticed started offering social media management services last year. So all of those places, you usually, if you're lucky, and I mean it's luck of the draw, right? You can even hire a large agency that doesn't do a good job. You just never really know. So I would I would always just hire somebody on a trial basis to kind of feel them out before you make any long-term commitments. But I would say Upwork, Fiverr, and Craigslist would be places where you could find a freelance digital marketing person who could work with a small business. Any other questions? All right, so I'll keep going. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about what's called a Facebook pixel. And so the Facebook pixel is what kind of like ties in all of your Facebook web activity to your website. And so you get a complete 360-degree view of what's happening with regard to your website and your Facebook ads. Like, you know, the traffic that's being driven, what happens to that traffic, you know, does it come back, and how you can use that information to better target your ads and get conversion over time. So the Facebook pixel is a code that you place on your website, and it collects data that helps track conversion from Facebook ads. And you can also use it to build targeted audiences in the future or to remarket. And so whenever I say remarket, what I mean is, you know, you start to build your shopping cart, you get distracted, you leave the shopping cart, and then all of a sudden that ad, those pairs of shoes, it's usually shoes with me, starts following you around the internet wherever you go until you buy. So the Facebook pixel allows you to do cool things like that. And so you can track website activities, you can improve the return on your advertising, and you can reach new and existing customers. And so what happens is when you set up your Facebook business manager account with the ad, and you go to the ad manager, you can just click create a pixel, walks you through the steps, very easy. And then you copy and paste. If you're good with websites yourself, you can embed it yourself. I prefer not to do it. I'm not a website person. So what I usually do is I email the code to a web developer and have them install it on the website of the client, or, you know, on my own website, whatever's going on, just because I'm not comfortable enough and I don't want to mess things up. But there are many people who are comfortable and they do it themselves. And it just allows you to see exactly what's going on in terms of your Facebook advertising. All right, so we're doing all of these things. And my friend Seth Godin says, good marketers measure. And there's a statement that I heard at the beginning of my career. I don't know who said it, where it comes from, but it's true. If you're not measuring, you're not marketing. Because what happens is you start doing all of this stuff. And unless you have goals and objectives and measure those goals and objectives, you really don't know what's working, what's not working. So also very important, once you get into the groove of things, to make sure that occasionally, whether it's monthly or quarterly or bi-yearly, that you take a step back and really analyze to see if all of these activities that you're doing are actually paying off in anything. I mean, if people are buying from you, then you will see that immediately. But many times the return on investment is not dollars. Maybe it's reviews, maybe it's people sharing, maybe it's people asking questions. You just really need to know exactly what's going on. So here we're going to take a little sneak peek at Facebook page insights. And like it says, no matter what your goals are on Facebook, whether it's building your online presence, communicating with customers, or encouraging people to take action, your page insights will help you understand who among your audience is most engaged with your page. So if you remember when we looked at the African Prince in Fashion page, they had the top fans. So that's an insight, right? There's no way that you could know who your top fans on your page are unless Facebook told you. So let's just take a sneak peek at what an insights page, what the information that the insights page gives you, and then we will close up from there. So again, highly recommend that you guys take a look at the Facebook resources, because of course they do the best job possible, just like Google. Google does the best job possible of explaining their products and services, and same thing with Facebook. They do the best job possible of explaining exactly how the platform works. And so these are the insights that you are able to see once your business page is up and running after 30 days and you get engagements. And every Facebook business page has an insights tab, right? So you'll be able to see very easily what's going on. And so this is what's measured. Reach and engagement, so you will see how many people saw your post as well as who liked, shared, and commented on them. And this will help you to learn what kind of content is getting the most attention. Actions, you'll see what actions people are taking on your page, including whether they're going to your website or clicking on a call to action button. And this will help you to adjust your page so that people take more of the actions that you want. Next, there's people. The people tab helps you to understand your audience. through demographic data such as age, gender, and location. You'll also see when, this is great, especially for ads, when people are looking at your page and how they found it. Definitely interesting. So for example, if nobody is looking at your page Sunday at 5 o'clock, you may not want to waste your time posting anything Sunday at 5 o'clock, because why? Nobody's there. The only time I would say you would do so is if you wanted people to start paying attention Sunday at 5 o'clock for whatever reason, and then you would have to run an ad in order to drive traffic at that specific time. But otherwise, you would want to, make posts during the times and days where the page is already most active. Then there are views, of course, and views allow you to see how many people are viewing your page and what sections they're looking at. And of course, you can use that information to target different audiences with boosted posts and also tailor the content to meet their interests. And then the post insights, you see a breakdown of how each Facebook post performed. And I can tell you right off the bat that your video posts are going to always be at the top in terms of performance, followed by the pictures, followed by the text-only posts. So you may as well not even do the text-only posts, because it's kind of like just wasting your time. So you'll see how many people each post reached, how many people engaged, and so you can analyze what's working best. And of course, again, I highly encourage that you visit the Facebook for Business Blueprint section, and there are always step-by-step instructions as to how to utilize the various sections of the page. Anybody have any questions about that? Guys are very silent. Okay, so I'll go back to the presentation. And the next slide was questions and answers. So is there anything, like I said, this presentation was going to be an hour and a half because it's just best practices. Is there anything that you guys would like me to go over, a question you always had, something maybe that you tried to do yourself that didn't quite work out? Now would be a great time for us to review that, because next week's class is going to be hands-on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the motions of actually setting up a Facebook page from scratch. So, at that time, any questions that you may have before, now would be a good time for you to ask me, because once we get to actually building the page, then the focus is going to be on doing that. So is there anyone of you who already has a Facebook business page as we speak?
Yeah, that will be interesting to know, and people's experience. Don't be shy.
You guys are so silent.
Unmute yourself and
yeah, let's have a conversation
and show up your face and tell us how you're doing. So that will be great to hear.
I don't know. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Helen.
How are you? So I think it's on Facebook. I do have a Facebook business page. Is it on Facebook that you do a boost or a post, and they don't want you to have so much writing on it? Is that Facebook? And then they don't post it? Yes.
So Facebook ad, and again, Facebook ads is a full day workshop in itself. But yes, you are correct. Facebook has a text limitation when you're advertising. So text should not be more than 20% of the image. Preferably there should be no text on the image, because people do not respond to those people do not respond to those ads very well anyway, which is why there is a text limitation. You should actually use captions of your ad for text and not having text on the picture itself. So yes, you're absolutely right, Helen.
Does that seem logical? Or like if you're doing an ad, like you usually have text?
You don't have text on the picture. You have text in the description of the ad.
I know, but visually, like you see a poster, they usually have like.
It's different. Digital is very different from online, from offline activities. Okay. And it's just because the way the platform works and the way people interact with digital is very different from offline. Like the purpose of the image is to grab the attention, and then they read the caption, and then they click on a link. And so for whatever reason, when there's too much text on the, it's not to say that you can't have any text, but it can't be too much. So it should be small, 20% or less.
So when you're designing your ad, 20% or less, or else
of text on the image, but in the captions, in the descriptions, you can say whatever you want.
Right.
So let me see, actually, this is a good exercise. Let me see if I can go to my homepage on Facebook and see if there are any ads in my feed right now so I can demonstrate what I'm saying. While I try to find that, you guys can chat. Let's have a chat because we have more than enough time. See if there are any ads popping up in my personal Facebook feed.
I have a question. I have Facebook and I do all the ads myself. And yes, Galena, it's a lot. But
it is.
I'm actually starting to kind of expand my business a little bit, and I wanted to know, when you were talking earlier about the marketplace and selling your items through Facebook. I wanted to know, can you link the marketplace to places like eBay and Etsy and
No, Facebook it speaks to, so Facebook Marketplace and Amazon and Etsy are competitors, right? So they're not going to link to their competitor because then that doesn't make any sense. However, they do link to e-commerce platforms. So for example, if you have a Shopify store or whatever kind of online store that is your website, then you can link the Facebook shops to that. But
okay,
the marketplace,
so I would link it to my website shop.
Right, exactly. Perfect. So here, case in point, the question about ads not having that much text on it. You see this video ad that's going on here? So the text is here, and then there's a call to action. But on the face of the ad, there's not that much text, right? So 20% or less. If there was any more text than they have here, then Facebook would have rejected it. So the feeling is that the graphics draws the attention to whatever else is going on up here and down here on the call to action. And video ads, I will tell you, perform much better than even picture ads because, again, they're engaging. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Same thing with, let me see in my sidebar here. This is an ad as well, so it's showing up. If I go up here, again, you see here, it's just an image and the text is here. There's absolutely no picture, no text on this ad at the top at all. Okay. All right, I'm gonna close my Facebook page because then people will start chatting with me and stuff. It's like sometimes I wonder if there are like special alerts that some people see that cause them to say, hey, how are you doing? All right, I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, any more questions? Great questions so far.
Well, it was very informative. A lot of information.
Yes, it is.
I just want to remind everyone that it's recorded, and I will email to all the participants the presentation and YouTube link. So please check your spam folder just in case if you don't see it in a few days.
Somebody just said something about, is it free on Facebook? Is what free on Facebook? What specifically are you speaking about? Just setting up the business page? So Raisa, I think it is. Can you unmute yourself and explain what you're asking, please?
Yes, my question is, setting business page, is it free?
Yes, it is. And we're actually going to do it live next week. So if you don't have one, then you would want to attend that session and we will actually build a page. Well, I will demonstrate how to build a page and you can follow along and build your own page. So to set up the business page is free. Everything is free up until to the point where you start doing ads. That's the only time that you start paying.
Thank you.
And Helen asked if all the videos will be available on the website. Yes, Helen, but we will upload and make a special box on the small businesses page when we have all the information. So it will be at the end of our workshops. So when we have all the information, it will be on the business webpage. But you can find videos on our YouTube channel, and I will email it to everyone.
And also a correction, I just did a quick Google, something that it does seem that Facebook has an integration to eBay. So that was incorrect what I said just now. So whoever asked me, there is an integration that you can do with eBay, and it seems to be pretty new. So if you already have an eBay store, it seems that now you can actually connect them, which is great. So I forget who asked me that question. Was it Helen? No, it wasn't Helen.
It was Nora.
It was Nora. I was trying to remember who it was, which is great. Perfect. That works.
Yeah, Nora has wonderful bakery. Very
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems like it's a integrate third-party integration that you can do. So you may want to try it. Try it and let me know. Okay.
So Peter, can you please repeat what we will be doing next Sunday?
Yes. Next session is going to be a mostly hands-on session, because I think when it comes to these platforms, like unless you actually do something, you really, it's just information overload, and you can attend a million classes and then you still won't set up the business page. So the next class, I'm going to be setting up a business page live. And it would be useful for you guys not only to watch me do it, but see if you can follow along and do it yourself. So if you don't have a business page, I would highly recommend that you try to follow me and set it up. If you already have a business page, then you should log into your business page and make sure that you have all of your basic information complete. So as I add the information to the new dummy page that I'm going to set up, you're going to make sure that you have all the corresponding information on your existing business page. You should also come prepared so that you can do the exercises with images, even if they're stock photography. Make sure you don't steal other people's pictures. Download pictures from one of the sites that I recommended in this presentation. Come with any mini videos if you have them. Come with a few ideas for posts, so that when it comes time for us to add the beginning content to the website, that you actually have content to add and you're not just sitting there not doing anything. Because for you, this would be a great opportunity to jumpstart your page. You have some great starter content. And if you already have content on there, then this is a good opportunity for you to tweak it or fix it or make things look prettier. So next week's class is going to be more hands-on. Maybe I'll do a few slides in the beginning to explain what's going to happen, but it's going to be more of a live demonstration class.
And Peter, after people participate and follow you and do it, will you review their work and critique, or?
I mean, we can't do that. I think that would be a great way to end the class. So maybe we can, what we can do is give people sharing ability so that they can share their screen and show us what they did. And that's also going to help to keep people honest in terms of actually doing something, because if you are actually building the page, then you should have something to show. And it's a great way for you to get feedback from me based on what you've done or what you've tweaked or what you've changed, or if any questions that you have. So actually, yes, I like that idea. So the last couple minutes of the class is going to be you guys sharing your screen and getting feedback or asking questions. Yes.
Fantastic.
If we already have a page, do you have time built in to just kind of take a look and say, hey, I would do this differently, or I would change this, or?
Yeah, so for the people who don't have a page, they clearly will be the ones building the page. And for the people who do have a page, yes, that could be your exercise as well. And also, many people who already have existing pages thinks that the page is completely filled out, and it usually isn't. So I'm sure there are going to be things that you can do yourself to an existing page to improve it. But by all means, I'm more than happy to take a look at what you have and give you feedback as well.
Awesome. That is really useful.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Okay,
you
and we'll do the
so
same
much.
thing for Instagram. So then after next week's class, the next class will be Instagram best practices, which will be pretty much what we did today for Facebook, but for Instagram. And then the Instagram class, can't really update Instagram on a computer, but maybe I'll do a screenshot version of, you know, the different parts of the Instagram profile and some cool things that you can do with Instagram as well. And then that will be the end of our series. It's going pretty fast, I feel like.
Well, we have an opportunity to get another grant, another $3,000 to continue
Okay.
this kind of
Okay.
workshops.
Okay.
And I will be sending Google Forms survey to everyone. So please, please, please put the information there and your feedback, because this is the requirement to get extra money, and I hope we can get it.
Perfect. All right. Makes sense. All right, everyone. So that's it for today. You get half an hour of your day back. I'm sure everyone has a lot to do, but next week's class will probably go the entire time, especially if I'm going to be reviewing everybody's work. So I will be seeing you again online, same time, same place, next Monday. Everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.